Hello and welcome to a very special video, and today in this video I'm going to be doing my top 10 Jon Pertwee stories. Now, if you're brand new to the channel and this is the first video you watched, then if you don't know, Jon Pertwee is my favourite Doctor, and he has been since, I don't really know how long he's been my favourite Doctor for, but it's been a good few years now. And so basically I'm just going to go through all of the top 10s, well, all the stories in this top 10 list, and basically tell you what I love about them. Because a lot of the Jon Pertwee stories I adore, and I think they're absolutely fantastic, and I think Jon Pertwee's a good Doctor to get into if you want to get into the classic series. So yes, without any further ado, let's get straight in to the top 10. So at number 10 we have the incredibly underrated The Ambassadors of Death. Now, I think not many people don't really know about the story, and I think it's often very overlooked and very overshadowed by Inferno and Doctor and the Silurians and Spearhead, and it's sort of the one that people tend to ignore and sort of forget about. But personally, I think it's an absolutely brilliant story. I mean, yes, at times it can be a little bit repetitive, because sometimes they get captured, then they get then they escape, then they get captured again, then they escape again, and it's a bit repetitive sometimes. But I think it's also very James Bond-esque. Like, it's as if they actually wanted to do like a James Bond movie. And if you're a fan of James Bond, then I think you'll love this story, because Jon Pertwee is a very sort of James Bond-esque Doctor, and that's one of the reasons why he's one of my favourites, because he just kicks ass all the time. And I think as for the sort of the Martians are very creepy as well. They are one of the creepiest Jon Pertwee sort of villains or monsters, or whatever you want to call it. And I think the whole story idea is great, and it's just a really underrated classic. I think it's one of those gems that, like I said before, like not a lot of people know about, but it's just such a good story, and I managed to watch it in just one sitting, because it is a 7-part story, and a lot of the Jon Pertwee stories are either 7 parts or 6 parts, mainly 6 parts, and sometimes you get the occasional 4-parter. And some of them tend to be quite slow, but I think this one actually rattles on at quite a nice pace, and I think it's just an all-round great story. And Liz Shaw is in this as well. She's terribly underrated, and the acting in this is just really good, and so is the writing, and I highly recommend that you pick this one up. At number 9 we have the fantastic story The Mind of Evil. Now, recently I've reviewed this on my channel, so I won't really go into much detail as to why I love it so much, because I said what I wanted to say about it in my review. So, but I'll just give a couple of reasons why. I think there's so much good action in this, and I think the whole premise and the whole concept of sort of the machine which the Master has built is really good, because there are some scenes in it which are quite terrifying, where basically the machine knows what your worst fear is, and of course the Master's worst fear is the Doctor laughing at him, and the Doctor's worst fear as well. He's got a lot of those, like the Ice Warriors and the Daleks and all that, and even the Master as well. And Jo Grant she's very good in the story, and it's just brilliantly written, and I think it's the same with The Ambassadors of Death. It's really underrated. It's probably the most underrated out of season 8, and some of you may know that season 8, of course, is the Master season, and if you're doing a marathon, it can get a bit repetitive, and you know that he's going to be in every story in that season. And even though Roger Delgado is brilliant, and he is, in my opinion, the best Master, and he's my favourite Master, I think it can get a bit repetitive, which I probably won't do a marathon for a very long time, but because I haven't got every single story yet. And yeah, Roger Delgado gives an absolutely brilliant performance, and one of the best scenes in the story is towards the end, where they have a massive shootout, basically at the prison, and it's just, I don't know why it's rated a U, because I think it should be a PG because some of the scenes are quite terrifying. Um, but it's just brilliantly shot, brilliantly directed, brilliantly edited, and just brilliantly acted as well. It's just a really terribly underrated story. I wish there were more fans who appreciated it because it does get overlooked sometimes by the other stories in that season. Like the Damons has been highly regarded as the best story from that season, and personally, I think this is the best story from there. And if you haven't seen the story or if you've not heard of this story, go and check it out because I guarantee you will enjoy it. Because even though it does drag a little bit in the middle, I still think the pacing is pretty good. Number 8 now, we have the brilliant Planet of the Daleks. Now, I think the problem with this story is that it gets overshadowed by Day of the Daleks and Death to the Daleks because a lot of people just tend to forget about Planet of the Daleks because the Dalek War box set contains 2 brilliant stories. You've got The Frontier in Space, which sadly hasn't made it into this top 10 list, and you've also got this story, which has made it into the top 10 list. And this is one of my favourite Pertwees. I mean, I can watch it like loads and loads of times, and I enjoy it every time I watch it. And it's just the Daleks themselves are amazing, and the Supreme Dalek, he's got gold sort of body armour and purple ear lights. He's just a really like cool Dalek, and the part 1 cliffhanger is really iconic. I think when they spray paint the Dalek and they spray paint like a creature and they're unfamiliar as to who it is, and then it turns out to be a Dalek. And I really love that cliffhanger so much, and the action figure for that is pretty cool as well. And yeah, there's a great scene where they, as you can see on the cover, they're about to push a Dalek into the water, and I think that's just a really great scene, and it's quite satisfying to see, you know, this helpless creature just being pushed into like this sort of lake, and it's just really hilarious to watch. But in a good way, not like in a bad way. It's just if you love the Daleks, then Planet of the Daleks is a really good story to get. And like I said, the story has Frontier in Space. Well, the box has got Frontier in Space in it, which is amazing. And it's just sad that Roger Delgado passed away because I think we would have had an even better story than Planet, because the cliffhanger for Frontier in Space, like episode 6 cliffhanger, which leads into this story, it's just one of the best cliffhangers in the classic series, and I can guarantee you won't be disappointed with either of these stories because they're just so amazing. Like the box set is probably would get a straight 10 out of 10 from me if I were to ever review it, because I don't think I've actually reviewed it, so I may review it at some point. So yeah, go and check out Planet of the Daleks. Brilliant story. Now let's move on to number 7. Number 7, we have the Doctor Who and the Silurians. Now, personally, I just like to call it the Silurians, but the original title, of course, is Doctor Who and the Silurians. Now, even though the music is brilliantly awful, like it's so crap that it's good, I still think the story is brilliant. And even though I think this is one of the 7-parters that do drag a little bit, but when it gets moving, it's just so good and engaging, and it's quite political in parts as well. And the last sort of I think the last episode is probably the best because the Doctor is furious with the Brigadier for destroying the Silurians, and it's just really well scripted, and it's one of my, I think it's probably the best story. Well, I don't know, because it's difficult because all the stories in Beneath the Surface box set are great. I even like Warriors of the Deep to an extent. I know it's not the greatest story in the world, but personally I think it's great. But Doctor and the Silurians is incredibly atmospheric, especially in the caves, and I really like the Silurian design in this. I know it's a bit clunky, but I think it's really cool, and even though the sound effects they make can get a bit annoying at times, I still think they're one of my favourite sort of Doctor Who villains or monsters or whatever. And just the whole plan is really cool, and the Third Doctor gives a great performance, and like I said, it's really atmospheric, and it's just a bloody good story. I watch because I basically what happened was when I first watched it, I didn't really like it that much, and then I watched it again on rewatch, and somehow I enjoyed it loads. I don't know I don't know why I must have, felt like that at the time when I first watched it. But I guess I might have not been feeling too great, or I don't know. But when I first watched it, when I watched it the second time, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great story, and this is why season 7 for me is one of the best seasons of Doctor Who. So yes, now we move on to number 6. So at number 6 we have The Time Warrior, which is the first appearance of the Sontarans, and the first appearance of Sarah Jane Smith, and the first story of season 10, which is a great season again. I think quite underrated as well. This is probably the definitive Sontaran story, because Lynx is probably one of the best Sontarans, as well as the one from I think it's General Stahl. No, not General Stahl. That's from Steig or Styre, I think it is. I can't remember the name, but it's the one from the Sontaran Experiment, and I love that story as well. I think it's underrated. It's an underrated classic, and The Time Warrior is amazing. And my historical stories are my favourite, because I think when Doctor Who does this like historicals, it turns out to be a fantastic story. Like even nowadays with like Vincent and the Doctor, and The Time Warrior just gets the period spot on. And because of course the BBC do costume dramas really, really well. Like a good example of this would be Ghostlight, because the costumes in that story were great, and the costumes here are fantastic. And even though there's just one Sontaran, he's still really good, and you really feel that sense of power that he has over the, as he would call it, the primitive soldiers in the castle, and the kings and all. Well, the king, and of course the king and his men think he's some sort of magical wizard with a magic wand, and it's just kind of hilarious to watch, because he's up to no good, and whatever he's planning it's not going to be it's not going to turn out well. And it's just a great John Pertwee story, and probably the best Sontaran story we're ever going to get. I don't think we can top this one, because the other Sontaran stories, although I like them, then like nowhere near as good as this, because the Sontarans are my favourite Doctor Who villain. I might have said this. I think I have said this before in another video, but the Sontarans are my favourite Doctor Who villain, and any story with them in, you really love. I've even grown to love the Tom Baker story, The Invasion of Time, because I watched that recently, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't like it the first time I watched it, but I rewatched it again, and I really loved it. And just because it had the Sontarans in it, and if you're a fan of the Sontarans and you want to get into the classic series, then this is a great place to start. I mean, even the Bread for Wall box set it was the first box that I bought, and I love it. It's a bit of a battered state at the moment, because I've had it since 2008, and great box set with some really good stories in there. So let's move on to number 5. Okay, at number 5 we have a story which is possibly the most underrated Dalek story, which is Death to the Daleks. Now, as you can see by the cover, I think it was sort of inspired by the Target novelisation, and that also has a great cover art as well, like a lot of the Target novels do. And I think this is a really clever story, but I think the only thing that really lets the story down is the episode 3 cliffhanger. And if you've seen the story, you'll know which one I'm on about, because it's just like, where's the peril in that? It's like there's no threat or anything, and it's basically when the Doctor says stop, don't move, and then it's followed by the title sequence, and it's just, oh god. But the episode 1 cliffhanger is brilliant, because Daleks come out and they start firing at the Doctor and the other characters in there, and your immediate thought is, oh god, they've killed the Doctor. Like, you think they've killed them, but in actual fact, you know he's going to be all right. But at this point, I don't think anybody knew that he was going to leave in the following story, well, a few stories time, in Planet of the Daleks. But yeah, I love John Pertwee's outfit in this. His costume is probably my favourite costume that he wears throughout the entirety of his era, because I think he just looks badass in it. And I also really love the Dalek colour scheme there. It's probably my favourite colour scheme, with the silver and the black polka dot spots. I think that's the best Dalek design. I would really like to see a redesign of that in the new series with the modern casing with that colour scheme. I think that would just look absolutely amazing. I hope Chris Chibnall does sort of redesign the Dalek a little bit, because I think the bronze ones, even though they're good, I think they're a little bit overused now. So yeah, Death to the Daleks is a great story, and the Exelons are cool. Sarah Jane is cool as well. This is another story from season. No, sorry, that was the Time Warrior was from season 11, and this story is from season 11 as well. I keep getting my seasons mixed up. There's someone bound to correct me on that. But excuse me, got a bit of a cough, sore throat. Sorry about that. So yeah, go and check out Death to the Daleks. It's a great story, and just one of my favourite Dalek stories as well. So let's move on to number 4. Okay, so at number 4 we have the brilliant story, The Green Death. Great 6-part story, and if your parents have watched Doctor Who, they'll probably remember this story, because a lot of Doctor Who stories are associated with the one with the, and of course this is the one with the giant maggots. And even though sometimes the special effects for them are a bit crap, the actual props they're actually pretty decent, I think. And the main villain of the piece, called Boss, who takes control of sort of the power plant or whatever. Yeah, great story, and great character, sorry, and the voice is just it's such a good villain. And John Pertwee gives a great performance again, and he's in his brilliant black and red costume, which I love. And it's of course Jo Grant's last story, and her departure is really emotional, because even you can tell it in John Pertwee's face that he doesn't want her to leave. And some of the lines, I can't remember some of them from the top of my head, but you can see it in his face that he's just sad that she's leaving, because he knows she's going to leave because it's her last story. And it's just because for me, all the Doctors have their sort of companions. So the 4th Doctor was Sarah Jane Smith, and then you've got the definitive sort of pairing, if you like. So the 4th Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith, 3rd Doctor Jo Grant, and for me personally, it's the 2nd Doctor, Jamie and Victoria, and then you've got the 9th Doctor, and the 9th Doctor only had one companion, but if you see what I mean, Sylvester McCoy had Sophie Aldred, and that's a great pairing. And it's just it's the end of an era for Jo Grant and the 3rd Doctor, and it's just really sad to see her go, because she is one of my favourite companions, and I have met her in real life, and she's such a nice person as well, and she's really lovely. And it's just sad to see them depart from each other, because they've been together for ages, and just seeing them leave and go their separate ways was just really sad. I'm glad that she didn't die. I'm glad she got a really good ending, because there aren't many companions in the classic series which have died. I was really satisfied with her ending. She's just a really great companion, and I highly recommend you check this out if you're a fan of Jo Grant. And if you haven't seen a single story from her, I guarantee you'll really love her, because her character development from Terror of the Autons, from where she was being the sort of yes girl, where she would just sort of do whatever the Doctor orders to her, and then to see them become really good friends, and then to see her leave, it's just really heartbreaking. And that's one of the reasons why I think you should watch The Green Death. So let's move on to number 3. Okay, so we're in the top 3 now, and in 3rd place we have The Sea Devils. Now, this is this is a story which I think is absolutely fantastic and one of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. I love the Sea Devils. I think they're great, and the way they work with the Master is just amazing. And I like the fact that they use the Navy instead of extras because I think it just adds more to the story. And I was watching the special features a while ago, and they were just talking about how they all wanted to get, like, all the Navy soldiers just wanted to get photographs and autographs from John Pertwee and the cast, and they were just really excited by the fact they were going to be on television, and so literally all of them wanted to be part of this story. And the Master gives a great performance, and like it's just, and there's a point where the Master even watches the Kangers or the Clangers. Can't remember what they're called, the little puppet things that were on back in the day. I remember watching them actually, and yeah, it's just quite funny to watch. And he's just really menacing and mischievous, or devious, sorry. And even though it is a six-parter, I think it's one of the best ones for like pacing because I think it rattles on brilliantly, and there's some great action in the story as well. I think the script is amazing for this one because there's just so many good scenes in it and moments, and the way the Master leaves at the end is classic. It's a great scene where he drives away in a speedboat or something, I can't remember, but similar to what I've just said, I think. And yeah, if you're a fan of the Sea Devils or you're interested in the classic series, and you might have heard of the Sea Devils, but this is a great story, and I just really love the title as well, the Sea Devils. I think that's really cool because you've got the Silurians and you've got the Sea Devils, and then you've got Warriors of the Deep, and where they're together, and it's just so cool. Like they are, I love the design as well. Even though, regardless of what you think, I really love their design. I think it's so cool, and you really believe the fact that they've come from the water, and it's just a great story, and I highly recommend you check this one out. So let's move on to number 2. Okay, so the penultimate story we have in the list is John Pertwee's first story, and probably one of his best, Spearhead from Space. Oh god, what's to say about this story? It's just amazing, and of course they released the Blu-ray last year or sometime. Well, quite recently they released the Blu-ray. I've still yet to buy that because that just looks amazing. And if you're an Auton fan, this is a must. Because if you like them in Rose, then which is sort of like an inspiration from this story. Like I think Spearhead is what inspired Rose because there's just so like similarities in there. But I think the Autons here are a lot better than the ones in Rose because they look a bit more sinister. Because I think the ones in Rose are a bit safe and bit sort of polished, and here like the way the Autons move, like there's one particular scene and you can see like the Auton running through the forest, and you look at that Auton and you think, oh, that Auton could probably run through a wall. Like you believe that it's strong, and the character of Channing is really creepy, and the way his eyes move, it's just really gives a creepy impression, and the nesting consciousness is great. The Brigadier is great, and there's a really brilliant cliffhanger. I know people think of it as a bit of crap, but the episode 1 cliffhanger is where the Doctor steps out the TARDIS or something, and one of the unit's soldiers shoots him, and the other one goes, "Who told you to fire, you stupid dickhead?" Or you can tell that that's what they were going to say, but of course they had to cut that bit, like, because they would not allow that on tea time television. But yeah, it's a great story, and Liz Shaw, I think, is a really underrated companion, and it's her first story, and she's like applied for scientific advisor, but then the Doctor turns up, and it's like you've got 2 for the price of 1, and it's just he sort of mocks Liz a bit because he sort of, you get the impression that he basically gets Liz to hold these test tubes while he bees magnificent and does all of his stuff. And then there's a bit where like he just uses a gadget to blow up a door, and he just loves, like, you can tell John Pertwee just loves being the Doctor and just showing off in front of everybody, but he's still very serious as well about it. So yeah, Spared from Space is just a really good story, and definitely get the Mannequin Mania box set, which contains this story and Terror of the Autons, because it's just one of the best box sets, and plus you get 2 John Pertwee stories as well. So yeah, get Spared from Space. It's a absolutely masterpiece of a story. So now let's move on to number 1. Okay, now number 1 we've got Inferno. If you're a fan of my channel, then you probably guessed it already that Inferno was going to be number 1. As you can see, it's signed by John Levine, as I can just zoom in there. So yeah, I met him at Cardiff Comic Con a few years ago, and he's a great guy as well, really fun to meet. And he plays Sergeant Benton in the story, and this is my joint favourite Doctor Who story, along with Evil of the Daleks. And oh god, what a story this is. I love the title, I love the concept of the story, and these creatures here, I've forgotten what they're called. I'll probably remember it like straight after the video, but at this moment in time I've forgotten what they're called, and they're pretty creepy as well. And it's the first like parallel Earth story, and if you like those type of stories, then I think you'll really enjoy this one, because it's probably the best 7-part story of all time. Like the action and the tension of it is just amazing, and I really enjoy this story to bits. I think it's an absolute brilliant John Pertwee story, and as you can see, the Brigadier's got a bit of an eye patch going on there, but in this story, in the Parallel Earth, he's called the Brigade Leader, and god, it's just really interesting to see the actors play two different parts. And when the Doctor gets caught up in the Parallel Earth part of it, it's just amazing. And the title sequence is slightly different for the story, because you've got this sort of volcano eruption, which is sort of like a whole metaphor in itself for this story. And it's just an amazing story, and I really love. I'm really tempted to buy the original edition, because I really love the cover design for that, and I quite like the cover design for this as well, even though the top bit is sort of like curved. I don't understand why they did that, but it doesn't matter. I think it's still really cool, and the special features are great, and it's just a absolute must for your Doctor Who collection. And I would just recommend getting the entirety of season 7 anyway, because all the stories in that are amazing. I love John Pertwee's Doctor, and I just love the story, and I just love his era. It's just a really enjoyable era to watch, and all of his stories I enjoy. Even the sort of not so great ones like the Mutants and the Time Monster I just love this Doctor. He's my favourite Doctor, and I just love him to bits. So yeah, that is number 1. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I mean, I had a great time making it and filming it. Like I said, John Pertwee's my favourite Doctor, and I just really hope, if you haven't got all of his stories, I just hope you check out more of them, because there are just so many good ones to get. And if you're new to Classic Who, then definitely start buying the John Pertwee era, because he's just got some of the best stories, and the stories I love the most are from his era, and it's just really great to watch. And I can't think of anything else to say other than just the brilliant Doctor and great stories. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I've had great fun making and filming it, and I shall see you next time for whatever it may be. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.